So if you've been playing the Division 2 for anything more than a few hours, you'll notice that LMGs are pretty much one of the best set of weapons that you can acquire and use in the game. And why is this the case? There are a few reasons that make me think that LMGs are actually very dominant and why I think you should be running them. So first of all, let's start from a historical side. If you've played a Division 1 or if you ever played a Division 1, you would have seen that LMGs were designed in a very strange place. They were not the most powerful weapons. Almost every single meta, every single patch and update, LMGs always took the back burner. The beginning and the onset of the Division 1 had SMGs and marksman rifles being the main weapons a lot of people used. Eventually, assault rifles were able to take over the meta, and then we also had a time where shotguns were actually some of the best weapons in the game. It wasn't until the later patches that the developers somehow decided to try to put the LMGs in a good spot, but still they were very much shadowed by the assault rifles. But I think the Division 2 rolled around and the developers wanted to make sure that that changed, and LMGs have now found themselves in the #1 spot when it comes to some of the best weapons that you can use. The second reason, which leads me to argue that LMGs are pretty much the best weapons in the game, is because of their sustained damage. Usually, some LMGs will have a high damage roll, but also you have LMGs with not only high damage rolls, but also high counts of their bullets. So many LMGs are able to carry about 100 bullets within them, which are the bigger LMGs. Now, this allows for you to have a lot of leeway in missing your shots. And so when you have that sustained damage, if you're more accurate than another person, you're able to land more bullets over time versus, say, a burst fire assault rifle, which is right now limited to about 40, or depending on the kind of magazine size you have, a few bullets past 40. But nonetheless, the LMGs do the job, and they also carry the damage the targets out of cover, which all of that sustain brings it to become one of the better weapons in the game. Also, with the bigger LMGs, except the MG5, you're able to fire much slower, which allows for you to be actually more accurate, because if you're missing shots, you're missing them at a slower rate compared to, say, if you're using a Vector, which has 1200 RPM compared to the bigger LMGs, which have anywhere from 600 to about 600 plus RPM. Also, this brings it to the side of practicality. This is my third reason to say that the LMGs are actually the best weapons. Because you are able to fire slower, you're able to do more sustained damage, it's actually a more practical weapon that you can run. If you look through the specializations, people run LMGs on the Demolitionist and even the Sharpshooter specialization because of all of that damage that they can acquire. They're actually very good weapons, and even more so on the Sharpshooter, which is quite strange because of that reload speed, the stability, all of that in place allows for LMGs to be pretty much one of the best weapons in the game. Also, pushing the idea of damage, LMG builds are able to run a lot of critical hit chance and critical hit damage with significant gains in your damage output. If you were to run maybe a 60% crit chance build and sustained and very significant critical hit damage, this is one of the big reasons a lot of people prefer to run LMGs, because not only now do you have a lot of sustained damage, you have a lot of sustained damage with the high chance of dealing higher damage output while you're still firing about 100 plus bullets. Right now, I'm able to make 2 LMG builds that I actually like, and both of them are maxed out on critical hit chance, and I'm able to run close to 60% critical hit damage and also run a very significant amount of weapon damage. If you're wanting to know exactly what the numbers are, you're looking at about 30,000 damage per bullet, and this is not using some of the best rolls that I've seen. If I were to find an optimized build, that 30,000 damage can easily scale even further up there. And so this is one of the reasons I would say LMGs are some of the best weapons in the game. Furthermore, for you to be able to run your LMG with a lot of damage, you're going to probably sacrifice some weapon handling. If you run a weapon talent like Unhinged, which gives you about 25% damage, it's easy for you to be able to lose a lot of your weapon handling. But in the Division 2, we have some specific weapon handling talents, and we have some perks that can help you in order to be able to recover a lot of the loss of weapon handling based on the stats that you roll. And so a talent like Brace is one of the talents that rolls on the knee pads, and Brace can help you recover 25% weapon handling when you're behind cover. So this is one way a lot of people are still able to run an LMG without losing their ability to be accurate with their shots. And so this, again, like I've mentioned, is what makes LMGs one of the top tier category of weapons in the game. Another thing again with LMGs is when you're running a base LMG, it's very easy for you to get sucked into how long it takes to reload the LMG, because usually some LMGs, except the L8, are able to reload somewhere around the 5.2, 5.3 second mark. But if you're running the sharpshooter specialization, you find yourself in a situation where you have 25% reload speed and even more perks that can help you. And so with the sharpshooter specialization, a lot of people are able to cut their reload speed significantly lower to about 3 seconds. So imagine being able to reload a 100 round magazine on a weapon that's doing over 30,000 damage if spec'd right in just a matter of 3 seconds. Some ARs are able to do this in about 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds without their reload speed being cut down. So right now you're edging on a weapon that can do more damage than an AR, sure, significantly less RPM, but with the sustained damage and the ability to continue to put out that damage, a lot of people leverage all of this in order to run their LMGs. Now, for those who don't run the specialization for the sharpshooter, they can use talents like Filler Up, which I think is one of the better talents if you're running an LMG and you have room to do so. Now, for instance, if you were wanting to run more damage, perhaps if you have a backpack or a chest piece that's running you a lot of weapon damage, and you can make room to leave devastating out of your holster and run Filler Up. Filler Up is going to give you a whole lot of gain for your money, but this would imply that you're running a secondary weapon that can be reloaded very fast. Perhaps an example like the Chatterbox, or maybe an AR or another weapon that you prefer to run as your secondary weapon. In some cases, you can just change to your sidearm, reload very fast, and that will automatically reload every single weapon that you have. And so with all of these in place, it goes to show that LMGs are still some of the best weapons in the game. From the historical times of the First Division game, where LMGs were pretty much not viable, be it PvP or PvE, until the end of the game, all through now, where we have a lot of specific talents that are able to help you leverage your LMG and make it do the most damage that it possibly can, ranging from weapon damage, ranging from LMG damage mods, even all the way through critical hit chance and critical hit damage. I see no reason why anyone will contemplate if they should run an LMG build. There are many variations you can run. You can run a full-on LMG damage build, or you can run an LMG damage build with the critical hit chance variations using Wyvern or DNH, and you can go all the way from there. You can use different specializations in order to boost your damage, be it headshot, be it base damage, and you can enjoy the LMG and all the damage that it has to offer. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to put this video out there because I've seen some questions whether LMG builds are actually viable, whether the LMG crit builds are viable, and my answer to that is very simple. They are viable. They're some of the best builds that you can actually come up with if you do it right within the game. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys very much for listening and watching. I appreciate your time and audience. And if you are looking for raid groups and you want to run LFG missions, you can join the Gamey Daddy Discord. There are a lot of friendly people, be it PS4, Xbox One, or PC. People will be happy to run missions or raids with you. Check the link in the description below. And I guess I'll see you soon. Peace.